Today what we're going to be talking about is getting attention and authority, which is what you're going to need to grow your business and attract your ideal customer personas. And I'm going to explain how you can do that, why that's important. And again, if you have any questions, would love to answer them. Even if it's not related to this, if you just have general marketing questions, go to market questions, feel free to ask those throughout the presentation. So, what I'm going to cover today, basically, what is the value of your brand, not just your startup, but you personally? What is the value of the brand that you're building and how it relates to your company and what you're going to be building in the future? I'm going to give you a 4-step framework, all given to you for free today. I hope you use it. That's the only ask that I have, is that you'll actually go back and use it because it is of value and it has been proven to work. Then I'm going to show you some things you can do right now, like I said, starting this afternoon, to actually go out and start to get attention for yourself, get attention for your startup, and build your brand. So, and then at the very end, we're going to wrap up. If you're still hanging out, you get a bunch of free stuff. And so hopefully this is very valuable for everybody. So let's jump into it. All right, so what we are not going to be talking about today is how you guys can be influencers. What you are going to be is an authoritative voice in your space. So I'm going to show you how to build your personal brand and leverage that into your business brand, because it is the most valuable thing that you have. It's the asset that you're building now that will both add value to your business and be an asset you can take with you after you exit onto your next venture. So there are differences between being an influencer and your personal brand. Being an influencer is based on a lot of vanity metrics, followers, views, your popularity. Those are all great things. We all want those things. But if you want to build a brand and drive value for your business, you need to do a little bit different things. So one, you got to build expertise in the space. You got to show that you're an authoritative voice in your space and that you actually have valuable expertise that people can use for what you do and how you help them. Second, you need engagement. You need people engaging with your content, asking you questions, asking for your input, wanting to know what you did to solve a problem or how you can help them solve a problem. You want them engaging with you, not just watching you. And then third, you want that authority. You want to be the go-to person in your space. You want to be the person that when somebody asks, who's going to solve this problem? Who can solve this problem in my organization? The first person they think of is you. Okay? So that's what we're going to do for you today. My partner in crime, Andrew Troe, is here, and this is a quote that he came up with. This is not about popularity, it's about authority. And as a startup founder, that's what you want. You want authority in the space that you're playing and the problem that you're solving. So we're going to take it back. We're going to talk about what is a brand. So when we think about a brand, we think about branding cattle, right? Something very simple like that. And, they put the brand on the cattle basically to identify the owner of the cattle, right? And so that's typically what a lot of people think of. They think that's the origin story of branding, but it actually dates back much further, all the way back to ancient Asia. And what was happening was pottery makers were making high quality pottery. They put it on a trolley or whatever. It would go across the country. The person would buy the piece of pottery, but they had no idea who made it. How do I know when that same pottery comes from the same maker in the future? And so what the pottery makers started doing was putting a brand on it. And this brand identified who made the pottery, but it also represented the quality. That's why it mattered, because the end customer wanted the same quality. So brand represents two things. It represents the owner, the maker, the creator, and the quality of the solution. Now, what's the value of a brand? What role does it play? Obviously, it's the identity and the quality, but let's look at a real life example, an example we can all relate to right now, and that's bottled water. Water is pretty much the same product no matter what. It gets pumped out of the ground, it goes through a processing system, gets put into a plastic bottle, they just slap a label on it. They can say it came from some artesian well somewhere, but I promise you it's pretty much all the same thing. So if you were to look at a shelf full of water bottles that had no labels on them, they all look the same, how would you make a purchase decision? What would you evaluate it on? You just evaluate it on price. There's no way to know the difference between any of these bottles. They're a little bit different, but for the most part, they're all just water, right? The second you put a label on it, the second you change the shape of the bottle, the way it feels in your hand, it communicates something different, right? A bottle of Voss is clearly worth more than a bottle of Dasani because it comes in a glass bottle, right? And it's slender. So as soon as you put a brand on something, you make an emotional connection with somebody. They place value on that. And that's how you increase the value of your solution, the value of your expertise. You have to place a brand on it. It's the invisible differentiator between you and your competitor. This is Alex Hormozy. I love what he's teaching out there and giving away for free. If you don't follow him, I highly encourage you to. But he says the purpose of a brand is to change a person's behavior. They buy from the same provider every time. They pick the same thing up off the shelf every time. How do you get them to make a different decision the next time they make that same purchase? They're using the same solution, the same software. How do you get them to pick yours? You've got to change the behavior, and that is the purpose of your brand. So, quick exercise. I love doing this. For all the ladies in the room, we're going to do a quick show of hands. This is an interactive experience here. Quick show of hands. Who would like bag number A? Just raise your hand. I've got a few of all three bags out back. Bag A. Anybody? Nobody. Okay. We have to write a letter to Dooney Burke. All right. Coach. Who would like a Coach bag? Show of hands. Show of hands. Got a Coach? One Coach. All right. All right. First person with their hand up gets the bag for free. Louis Vuitton. Who wants it? Woo! All right. That's what I'm talking about. Winner, winner, chicken dinner over here. All right. So these three products, they're all leather handbags. They're all brown. They all have the logo pattern on them. They probably hold relatively the same amount of contents. They serve the same purpose. They're all leather. And yet, everybody wanted the bag that cost 5 times as more as the other two. Why is that? What was the value in that third bag? It doesn't hold more stuff, so it can't be functional.
All of your friends, though, cost 5 times.
There we go. That's what we're talking about. So what are you buying when you buy that bag? Status. You're buying status. You're buying the ability to walk into the circle of your friends, show that bag, and instantly they know where you stand. They don't have the bag. You do. And that's the value of a brand. Brand increases the value of your products, the value of your business. It allows you to attract more of your ideal customers. They're more attracted to your brand, which means they're willing to pay you a little bit more. And when they pay you a little bit more, those two compound, and they want to stick around longer. Those three things compound into the lifetime value of your customers, and that's going to increase the enterprise value of your business. Same thing with you personally. Long term, you're probably going to exit your business. You're probably going to sell. You're going to move on. You're going to be able to increase your lifetime earnings by increasing your own personal brand, not just your company's. So what I'm going to show you today, and I'm going to try and move quickly after this because I know our time is limited. This is the framework that we've developed over basically the last 10 years. It is a framework for building a brand. It has a 42-point checklist. We're not going to go through all of them today, but I will show them to you. If you will do all of this, you can build a magnetic brand, a brand that will be recognizable, that has authority, and that attracts people to you to pay a premium for what you're selling. So those are the 42 checkpoints, 4 different steps: brand strategy, brand experience, brand expression, and brand promotion, in that order. And we're going to start with brand strategy. So you want to be known for doing one thing great. You want to be the absolute expert at one thing, okay? That way there's no confusion about your value and where your expertise lies. And you need to know your value. So think about, what is the value that you offer your ideal customer? You personally, your solution, your product, your service. What's the actual value they get? Now, we talked about that Louis Vuitton. You're actually getting status. You're not getting a bag. So value comes in a lot of different formats. This is definitely not inclusive of all types of value, but these are different types of value that you can offer somebody who buys from you. You can save them money. You can make them money. You can save time, which translates back to money, safety, protection, access to something, knowledge. These are all things that people value, that they're willing to pay for. So while they may be buying a solution from you, what they're really after is the thing of value. Once you know your value, you want to establish your positioning. How do they remember you? How are you positioned in their head compared to the competitors, the alternative options that they have? How do they think of you? Is it the same? Is it a little bit different? You want to make sure that there's a very distinct difference between how they think of you and the other solution. And when you can articulate your value and your brand, that sets you apart from everybody. And people don't want the cheapest option. Don't make that mistake. They want the best value. They want the thing that's going to bring the most value to their organization. And if you can show that value, if you can tie the value you deliver to your solution, they will pay more. Case in point, everybody wanted the Louis Vuitton bag, right? So let's get into brand expression. How do you communicate your value, your brand to somebody? This applies to, again, your personal communication, how your company communicates to your audience. And this is a specific workshop that we actually run our clients through, and I'm going to give it to you right now. So feel free to take a picture, write it down. But basically, it's 10 questions. And these are 10 very simple questions. All you have to do is answer these questions from the point of view of your ideal customer. How would they answer these themselves? How do they say them to their spouse when they go home? When they just had the worst day of their life, and the spouse says, "How'd work go?" What do they say? What words do they use? Not what words do you use. What comes out of their mouth? And the reason that's important is because you want to say to them exactly what they're saying to themselves. How do they say it? What words do they use? You literally just want to say exactly what's already in their head, because when they hear it, see it, read it, they're going to say, "Oh, you get me. That's exactly what I've been going through." So I'm going to give you a concrete example here. We actually did this with a certified financial planner. I don't think this applies to anybody in the room, but I'm going to read it to you anyway. And so I know nothing about certified financial planning. I didn't know anything until I did this workshop. And so I walked the client through this, and then I just read it back to him. And he was like, "Oh my God, that's the clearest I've ever heard it. I can't even say it that clear." And so the value of this is that you can use it in all of your content. Every time you go to an event like this, and somebody says, "Hey, Joe, what do you do? What's your company do?" Rather than say, "Hey, we're in healthcare. Hey, I'm a certified financial planner," say this. Say, "Hey, you know how people wait to be able to retire confidently so they can live their best lives ever? You know how that is? Yeah? Well, hey, many times it's actually hard for them to find a certified financial planner. And the reason is that they can't really trust anybody. They don't know who they can trust. And sometimes people feel intimidated. They're scared to share their financials. They're embarrassed. And it can be a really hard situation for somebody to open up and work with a certified financial planner that they trust that much. So what I do is I help people walk through a 6-step financial plan. And that really just starts with a conversation. My goal is to make it so that they don't have to worry about their future or their family's future. They don't have to make any lifestyle sacrifices at retirement. That's what I do. Did that sound better than "I'm a certified financial planner"? Right? Now you're thinking, "Oh man, my parents are about to retire. My best friend's parents are about to retire. I bet he could help them." And so that's the power of knowing your pitch, knowing the messaging, and saying it how it's going to resonate with your audience, right? So this is, if you take nothing away today, I'll go back. Get those questions. It's free. And answer those, and it will change all of your marketing, all of your messaging, all of your content. All right, so freebie. This is a simple messaging framework. Show your audience how they can get what they want without the pain that they don't want. How to reduce readmissions without what? Right? For the healthcare. How to make more money without changing your lifestyle. How to lose weight without changing your diet. Things that people want without the pain that they don't want. It will grab them and pull them in. They'll identify with it immediately. Very simple framework. All right, so we've been talking about building brand, your personal brand, your company's brand. Obviously, your company has a very visual brand. You probably have a logo, you have a website, you have marketing materials. That's the visual aspect of your company brand, right? Your personal brand needs to be you. Do not use your company brand. Do not use a logo. Use a picture of yourself and be you, because people don't need logos. That's what pictures are for, okay? All right, let's get into brand experience. So this is how people experience you. So in terms of your personal brand, here's what I want you to be thinking about. How can you be helpful to people? How can you be helpful in your space, to your audience? How can you add value to them and attract them to you as an expert? So you can be helpful, add value, share your insight, share your journey, share things that you've experienced. Give it away for free. Give that value out, because not everybody has it and somebody can learn from it. This is going to position you in their mind as an expert, an authoritative voice who has experience in the space. Share your personal journey. You don't even have to be a thought leader per se. Just share what you've been through. How'd you get to where you're at? What are the steps you're taking? What are the struggles you've had? How'd you overcome them? Share all of that, because everybody wants to learn how to get there, how to get where you're at. Somebody wants to be where you're sitting right now. Somebody out there. The easiest one is the last one. Just share what you're reading. Because what this does is it aligns you personally with the expert you're reporting on. The second you report back on somebody who is at the top of the game, tells them that you're following them, you're on the same playing field, you know what they're doing, you've been following them, you're just as much of an expert as they are because you know what they're up to and how they're getting there, right? So all you have to do is report on things that you're already reading and following. Very simple thing to do. In fact, I've seen some people lately, what they do is they watch videos and they do a record of the video and them just sitting there like this, shaking their head agreeing. It's pretty basic. Great tip I've learned lately. This one has got to be the greatest secret I discovered, and highly encourage you to do this. It takes a little bit of effort, but if you can write a book, and it does not have to be a New York Times bestseller, but if you can write a book, it can be any length on your area of expertise and put it on your website, make it available on Amazon, just publish it somewhere. This gives you instant authority, instantaneously, because you've written your expertise in a written format and it's publicly available. Also, these things are incredible lead magnets. So if you've read any of these books on the screen, you should know these are actually just ways that they sell their services and get people in the door to buy their consulting. They are great books. I've read all these books, but what I discovered is that they also sell other services beyond the book. Very, very interesting tactic if you don't already know this. So I encourage you to write content. Again, going back to Alex Hormozy, he actually shares all of his content for free. He does not sell any of it unless you do an in-person engagement. So you could go to his website. He's a marketing person for those who don't know. And he shares all of his training courses, like literally everything he knows, for free. So give away the value. Put it out there. Put your expertise out there. Let people know that you know what you're talking about. Prove it to them. So this is just an example of consistency. You got to be consistent when you do all of this. This guy right here is in my hometown. Actually, he's in a neighboring town. He is a certified financial planner. This guy has wished me happy birthday for the last 4 years. I've never met this guy. But my best friends don't wish me happy birthday that often. I feel like I know this guy. Like, that's the power of consistency and being active, right? So be consistent. Be authentic. Just be you. Because people know when you're not. They can sense it. So just put yourself out there. All right. I love this quote. You're only as good as you're known to be. If people don't know you, if people don't know what you do, they don't know that your solution exists, how could they possibly be expected to purchase it? So you've got to let people know who you are, what your expertise is, and why you're value to them. So when it comes to getting attention, there's really two things you need. That's reach and frequency. How many people know about you and how often do they see you? Because that's how you're going to achieve top of mind awareness. So just easy visual here. You want to be in the top right quadrant. You want to reach the most people at the highest frequency. Now you could argue that you're in a really tight niche, and so there's not that many people you could reach. So you could have like a low reach but high frequency. That could work. But if you're not doing anything, if you're not reaching anybody at no frequency, you don't exist to them. They couldn't possibly know that you're even an option. So you've got to put content out there, put yourself out there, put your brand out there, build that authority. This is what you're going up against. This is all of the marketing channels that exist. This is a corporate marketing ecosystem. This is all the noise that you, we're all hearing day in and day out, right? And despite how focused you are in an industry or going after a specific audience, you're going up against everybody else. Coca-Cola, McDonald's, whoever, whatever, right? Time. You're fighting for time and attention. We are in an attention economy. People spend a ridiculous amount of time on social media, consuming all types of content, and that's what you're up against. So we're going to talk about 3 ways you can get more attention. And I'm going to try and speed through this. So there are 3 different types: organic, paid, and earned. We're only going to talk about one today. Organic is what you have control over, so that's the one we're going to talk about. Activity on social media, what are you doing? Networking, being here, excellent. Strategic partnerships, who can benefit your business, who's maybe not the customer, who knows your customer, and can help you either get access to them or feed the pipeline, or talent. Right? So anything that you would need, who can you align yourself with that would bring value to the organization, although it's not necessarily like direct revenue, right? And then location. How can you get in front of your audience? So think about it like a storefront or the internet, right? Paid, pay to play, we know what that is. Earned, word of mouth. Everybody says word of mouth is the best advertising, but you can't control it. So we're not going to talk about that. All right. So organic, social media. Be where your audience is. Start there. And I'll tell you, they are on social media because everybody is a human being and human beings are on social media. So no matter what job they are, CEO, it doesn't matter, they're on social media. Post frequently, 1 to 2 times a day at least. Don't be afraid to post too often. It's literally impossible. There are people out there posting multiple times a day. Add value, create value. Don't just constantly ask and promote and tell people to do this and how great you are. Give some value to people. Give them a reason to follow you. Give them a reason to pay attention and come back. Include calls to action. Tell people what you want them to do. Ask for people to do things. Tell me what you think. What's your feedback? What's your experience? What would you like to see? What have you experienced in your job? Ask questions. People react to asking questions, right? Show of hands. Who in here works for a startup? Raise your hand. Great. Awesome. Did you raise your hand before I asked you? You did not. You only raised your hand because I asked you to raise your hand. Tell people what you want to do. Like this. Share this. Tell me what you like about it. Just tell people what you want them to do and they'll do it. And the bonus, what I've been talking about this whole time, use your personal account. Don't just use your company account. People follow people. All right, so some quick trends in social media. People are watching videos without sound on, so use captions. Social media is predicted to overtake television next year in terms of viewership. So you're basically going to be on TV. That makes you feel better. Most young people are using social media as their search engine. They're not using Google, which blows my mind. The average user spends 2.5 hours a day on social media. I mean, my goodness. Now, when you're posting, what can you do to get some people's attention? How can you make yourself stand out? Well, you can take a contrarian view on a very popular topic. Say it a way that people aren't talking about it. Say something that most people aren't willing to say. You want to cause a commotion, okay? You want people to comment, you want people to engage. And the best way to do that is to say something new or say it in a different way. Use hooks to grab attention early. So make sure you're drawing them in. You have 3 seconds to get people's attention. There's too much noise in the world. So you got to say something clever, get their attention, and engage people who have active and large followings. So I'm going to show you how we do this, and this is going to be a really good trick that you can take home with you today. All right, so here's an example. This is a controversial post that I made. I did not engineer this, so I'm not going to take credit for it, but I'm going to tell you why it worked. So what I did was I saw an AI tool who had an ad targeting me on Facebook. And it was a video of the audio of an AI sales bot closing a deal. Just the audio. I was like, that's kind of cool. So I screenshot the whole video, stole the video, Then I recorded my video on the front end, and I said, hey, think your job's safe from AI? Listen to this AI sales bot close a cold call. Almost 1,400 people felt a little bit threatened by that and said that there was no way an AI sales bot could close a deal that good. That was fake. Everybody debated whether it was real or not. Honestly, I didn't really care because I got almost 750,000 views on this video. And again, I don't take credit for that. I didn't engineer this on the front end, but I understood on the back end why it worked. So the hook was that I made a threat that their job was in jeopardy because of AI. Then I made the promise that they were going to get to hear an AI sales bot close a cold call, which they had to listen to the whole thing to see it. And so they did. And then they stuck around to tell me why it was a bad video. Thank you guys, appreciate it. So that's one way. So here's the other way. So Andrew actually came up with this strategy, and this is an example of how it worked really well. So this took a couple weeks of planning and effort on Andrew's part, but he wrote a cold email to a prospect, very well thought out, that got her attention. She responded. Then he asked for her permission to share it on LinkedIn and show how a well thought out cold email could actually work in today's age of noise, right? She agreed, and so he did. So he wrote this nice LinkedIn post, again with a hook, you can see it at the top. Then he tags her in it. Then he tags 3 other people where he got the idea from, giving all of them the credit and explaining how he learned how to do this from all these experts in the field. What happened? She comments. She says, thank you, Andrew. This is a great email. So now we've leveraged her audience. This now goes in front of her audience. Then the other people that he thanked for their efforts in teaching how to do this engage. Next thing you know, Andrew's reach has gone far beyond his network. Now we're talking about all the people he follows, the prospects audience, and this is how you guys can leverage other people's audiences and expand your network, expand your authority. Now Andrew's on the same playing field as a CMO in New York. He's on the same playing field as experts in the sales and marketing space, all because he just referenced them and said that he learned how to do this from them. And they all agreed that he did it very well. What authority he just established in a matter of 2 weeks and 1 LinkedIn post. We also, fun fact, got a deal, an opportunity to propose it for a deal off this. We're in Alabama, and that company is in Washington, D.C. She knew that she came through this post. She knew, as soon as we said, how'd you find us? She said, I saw your post on LinkedIn. It was Andrew's post, and that's how I found you guys. So it works. Be where your target audience spends time. Always pay for access. Higher the cost, better the value. I love that. Know your pitch. Find referral sources. Increase your service capabilities by doing so. When you have referral sources, you can both receive referrals and give referrals. You now become the authoritative hub for anything in that domain, right?